Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with a Rogue Market video. For all those that you might be interested, I have a channel called the Rogue Market, which is 100% dedicated to MTG Finance, kind of my speculation on cards that I'm currently investing in, and just more of an in-depth focused channel on that aspect. The Rogue Deck Builder is now what I consider my personal channel. In fact, I'm going to be starting at the new year another more specific channel that only deals with gameplay and doesn't have my my regular rantings and ravings and the usual videos you'll get here on Rogue Deck Builder. So I think with that in mind, I'll be able to keep people that just want the attention of either MTG Finance to a specific channel and all the people that want just gameplay to a specific channel, and I can still retain kind of my identity here and what I like to do best, just kind of these point and shoot videos and rant away. So this is kind of a rant video. It has to do a lot with the comments on my latest videos with the Ultimate Masters. A lot of misdirected hostility, I think would be the correct phrase to use, with people not getting to where I'm coming at with Ultimate Masters. Now let me debunk a few myths. No, I am not overly negative about Ultimate Masters. I don't think it's a garbage set. I don't think the cards in it are bad or that Wizards should have done more. In fact, my entire reasoning for Ultimate Masters having to go down somewhere between distributor price and MSRP is that I think that supply and cost of goods has more to do with the overall price of where cards settle than anything. And so I've been using this term, the straw that breaks the camel's back, a bit. In fact, people say, hey, we should start a drinking game for every time that Kevin says, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Well, let me explain that. It just seems that a lot of people don't even know this parable of, there's a few other ones like the last drop in the cup that makes it run over. And you can see a ton of them here of where this has been used. Parables in the past or proverbs, not parable, has been used to describe this event. So this is where a routine or an action, minor routine or action that is done over and over again causes a large and sudden reaction because of cumulative effects of small actions. If you think of it, a picture, a camel can hold so much weight until what will be the last straw where the camel can't hold the weight, and then it just collapses. So it's fine. It holds, it bears the weight until that last straw that then collapses the camel. And so it's a warning for people that to not push it too far with certain things. You're like, okay, well maybe whatever the event is or whatever the action is, well maybe I can do this. I can go in debt list just a little bit more, and then it eventually will be the one thing that puts you in a financial bankrupt, or I know that's a bad analogy at the moment, but where I'm using the straw that breaks the camel's back for the Magic the Gathering is really in the term of how much product can the secondary market absorb before it finally causes an overall market crash, or just a really runaway bear market to where no one can handle the new incoming products from Wizards of the Coast. Now, the biggest thing that I think with Wizards of the Coast is we have no evidence of Wizards of the Coast ever stepping back their production. They've always ramped it up. So in this analogy, in this proverb, this is a good one. The straw that broke the camel's back is a good one for Wizards, because we see 2015, they added some products. 2016, they added even more products. 2017, they added even more products. They say they're replacing products, but what they end up doing is really replacing it with something very similar and then adding to. And then 2018, we just saw a massive wave of products. In 2017 and 2018, there were 4 Master sets. We had Masters 2017 at the early of 2017. We had Iconic Masters at late 2017. Early 2018, we had the Masters 25, and then we had Ultimate Masters. Now, Wizards has said they're done with Masters sets. However, they still even put it in the clause that, hey, we're actually going to be, doing many other things. We're just done with Masters for now. So it makes me think that they're going to want to be putting out products of this caliber that cost a lot of money and have a lot of value in them, but they won't necessarily be master sets because they found out that master sets are a crapshoot. They don't know. They've failed with a couple of them, and this was the one to definitely not err on the side of caution, just kind of throw everything at this last Ultimate Master set to see how the market absorbs it. But this is my cautionary tale for Wizards of the Coast. It's starting to feel like Chronicles to me. It's starting to feel like when is too much going to be too much. And again, it's a cumulative effect of small actions that finally does lead to a crash. We've seen this happen time and time again in the history of things like the comic book industry, even in the video game industry. The stock market boom in 2000, it was kind of the same thing where everyone, it was just too much investing in the future and not of actual, throwing air on the side of caution here. So anyway, let's get to my evidence. So one of the sites that I do use a lot to see exactly where the market is this MG stocks all-time high-low. When we are under a good market, like a really, really bullish market, you'll see that this will have a lot of variety of different cards from various formats that are at their all-time highs. Now, you got to throw out a lot of these pre-release type cards and special edition type cards because there's just not enough analytics to prove if, there's just not enough quantities to really have any sensible analytics here. But this is usually quite large, the all-time high. And when we have a really, really good market, a better metric to use this all-time low. There have been times that I've logged in MT stocks where this all-time low was basically just the new sets. And you see, yes, there's a lot of Ultimate Masters here and box toppers here and pre-release cards, but you can see there's even cards just there you go, like Sarkon Vault. I don't believe that this has had a printing since one of the original Modern Masters. Was this the one that was reprinted? I can't remember. A lot of these cards have no business going down, but continue to, like, there we go, an Eternal Masters cards, or was this one reprinted in the one of the Commanders? You do see a lot of Ultimate Masters box toppers, but this list is quite substantial. Look how we keep on going. Pre-release cards, foil cards, many of these cards, even Masters 25 still has not seen its bottom of cards continuing to be at their all-time low. I think that this is going to increase. We're going to see less cards on this all-time high. Last time this year, this all-time high list was just crazy. Like, I know I did give a cautionary tale to everyone last year about this time, thinking that the Magic singles market might be headed for a crash, and I was totally wrong. In fact, from Rivals of Ixalan to Dominaria was one of the biggest bullish markets we've ever seen in the singles market. But what have come to the conclusion, though, is more of the enfranchised players bearing the burden of these cards. So it's a lot of what we like to call the coming of age of people that didn't have money that now could afford cards and went all out on Commander decks, all out on modern decks and whatnot. And the thing is, with a collectible card game, there tends to be a good circle of life with especially Magic. For everyone that leaves the game, you get someone that actually enters the game. And in fact, like Return to Ravnica forward, we've actually seen more players enter Magic than leave Magic. And we've had this really, really good secondary economy that has been able to bear the brunt of new products after new products after new products after new products. But it is it's no mystery now, though. The data's out there. That Magic is not growing. Magic has stayed stagnant for a couple years now, and even though the purchasing power of the enfranchised player has grown, the overall growth of the player base has not. And we have a lot of things that I have warned about with Artifact coming out. In fact, Artifact was released today. We don't know how that's going to affect the Magic player base. We've already seen a bunch of pros jump ship to Artifact because they just like the overall economy of Artifact better than like Magic Arena. We're seeing Magic Online really crash right now. I don't know how that's going to affect people's overall perception of the paper singles market, if something similar could happen to the paper singles market. And it also, coupled the fact that I don't think that Wizards of the Coast knows how to manage this. Like I said, they've thrown caution to the wind. They just continue to put out more and more and more products. I think that Saffron Olive did an article about it, comparing the amount of products year after year and how it's just grown like 15% year after year after year, and it doesn't seem like they are going to stop it anytime soon. And also, what type of precedent does this Ultimate Masters set? Do you think that really this is going to be a runaway, amazing sale of a set, and then Wizards like, oh, let's not try to do this again with even a bigger, badder product? This is the problem when you put out something that is the new gold standard, is how you top it. You have to figure out how to top it the next time around. And Wizards has done this twice in a row. I also think the Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker booster boxes were very exuberant here. It's the new gold standard of what you're looking for in a product. And at Ultimate Masters, that any product going forward is going to have dismal sales comparatively because people are just going to remember how well Ultimate Masters was and maybe just wait out until there is a product. Now, without all that aside, though, let's actually the videos that I've been done have been taking a look at just what Ultimate Masters is flooding the singles market with, and it is staple after staple after staple, and that is one of the reasons why I'm saying that it might be the supply might hit that tipping point where the demand can never start to outstretch the supply, and we're just going to have a free fall in prices. So again, I'm not going to claim anything because we're really at the cusp of that. I don't know how the market's going to go, and I've been wrong in the past, and that's why I'm going to be transparent about it. There are a couple of factors that might be good for Magic. Arena seems to be like it's taking off. It seems that Arena has had way more Twitch viewership and YouTube viewership on the streams than MTGO ever had. That in fact, all of the old school MTGO streamers have had to bite the bullet and move over to Arena. So it looks like Arena is a knock out of the park. And if somehow Wizards of the Coast can translate those Arena players into paper Magic players, then we are going to have an awesome singles market that can absorb all the new products. However, if for whatever reason it can't do that, for whatever reason if they even focus even more on Arena, so right now we have like paper dipping into Arena, but we don't have Arena dipping into paper. What I mean by that is if you buy sealed product, a lot of times you get an Arena code that can be used for your Arena account. And again, I think that they are competitors in a way. Like, yes, they do filter into each other, but if someone does spend money on Magic Arena, that is probably the money that they aren't going to be spending towards paper Magic. I think that that's what we've started to see from the dip of Dominaria to where we're at now. Actually, it's more about it's really M19, and you can check this. You can fact check this for yourself just by going over here to just the price list. Go back to any one of your modern staples and just kind of look at some of these cards and where they saw their height. So the one I like to look at first is the gold standard of modern. It really seemed to cap out at this M19 and has since then gone down, 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 down. Now it's got a little bit of resurgence here. I think we're going to have a bit of a bullish market on modern staples that are not being reprinted in Ultimate Masters. However, across the board, we have seen since M19 things go down, 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 down. And something like Scalding Tarn, if it can't, let's actually look at one better that's a Modern Masters. See the same thing. It really capped out here at the if you look at the trajectory, this was a nice steady trajectory here. So not only did it not continue that trajectory where it should be somewhere like up here, it's gone down since M19. And that just means that the singles market, the player base is not able to outstretch the supply, and more people are putting this up for sale than there are for buyers. And if you actually come over here and look at the eBay Buy It Now, the TCG market price, the Card Kingdom price of this, it's even painting another picture that this is not even as legitimate of a price, where maybe it was a legitimate price even back here at the $80 mark. So the real market price of Scalding Tarn right now looks to be about $70. So we've had a lot of value evaporate since this Core 2019. Now, Core 2019 is interesting because that's, right before Guilds of Ravnica. Of course, we had the focus being back on standard with Guilds of Ravnica. We finally had a good standard set that we haven't, or standard environment we haven't had in years. And also we had the Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker decks. So I don't think that's any coincidence that all that money was filtered through things that would have naturally been into the singles market and into a sealed product. Now, this is a very, very fragile environment. You can't have your cake and eat it too, is the other expression. You can't expect to have people spend both money on sealed product as well as on singles. And I think that Wizards of the Coast needs to They need to respect their singles market or the secondary market, because that's the whole selling point for when they make future products. Either that, or they're going to have to just continue to hit knock out of the park, standard set after standard set after standard set. But if they want decent equity to be able to be had by printing these reprint sets, like usually Commanders. That's usually the attraction to Commander sets. It's usually the attraction to these Master sets, or even things like Battle Bond. I think if Battle Bond didn't have doubling season in it, for example, how many people would have actually purchased Battle Bond? Sometimes you get some cards out of like Conspiracy Battle Bond and whatnot that are the more attractive cards. But for the vast majority of it, it is reprints. And if they continue to reprint at the rate they are doing, I think that it will eventually have what we call the straw that breaks the camel's back, and there will be a free fall. Now, it hasn't been the first time this has happened. This happened during Chronicles. Chronicles, they just decided to reprint everything into oblivion because there was runaway prices. And what it ended up causing was people just being very suspicious of buying into singles, because they just thought, well, Wizards is just going to reprint them. And I think that's what we're also starting to see with Ultimate Masters. What I think is going to have a domino effect with Ultimate Masters is that not only are players going to be a little bit hesitant of picking up some of these cards, but I also think investors, which are also part of this secondary market, are also going to be very, very leery of picking up cards at their low because well, what do we know? If Wizards is just going to reprint them again. How many times do you have to take a loss on something like Tarmogoyf? I don't think that anyone's ever made money on Tarmogoyf since it's been reprinted in Modern Masters 2, because it's never had any time to accrue value before it's been reprinted. And a lot of people say, well, that's good. I don't want to be paying that much for a card. Again, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to what we're stating here. What we're really talking about is, can Wizards continue to do this without, crushing their own equity of value for future reprintings? And again, we can argue all day long. We can about the merits of having cheap cards versus expensive cards and why there shouldn't be expensive cards. Yada yada yada. Again, it's not. I don't think it's a relevant point for this particular video. So back to what I've been doing with a lot of these Ultimate Masters, this Ultimate Masters videos I've been putting out on this channel as well as the Rogue Market. These haven't been like a negative Nancy for the set. They're more of a cautionary tale, and they're also just trying to get to the bottom of where I think the bottom of these cards are going to end up. And yes, I did come out the gates a little bit passionate, because there was many people thinking that this set was going to stay above the 400 or 500 MSRP, or 400 or 500 EV, comparatively to 344 MSRP. And that was where I say there's no way, no how that this set even holds MSRP, just because the supply was so high. So again, that's not me like really crapping on the set. It's a great set. They could have thrown in 10 times more cards in this, and I don't think it would have affected anything, because that's just simply not how markets work as a whole. It's all going to come down to the cost of goods and the supply of goods more than anything else. And then, of course, we get demand in there. But demand was already going down for a lot of these cards. If you actually were looking at like Tarmogoyf, it was still already going down. It hadn't even seen its bottom yet. And yeah, everything seemed to peak out about this M19 and down, down, down. Tarmogoyf has been like the staple of the staple of the staple for master sets. You can come over here too. I got to be a little bit of disclaimer here. Using this price list here, total format price. Be careful with this because it adjusts. I don't know how MG Goldfish does its. However, it gets this list. I'm assuming it's a set number of cards that have to see a set number of play and have to be over 75 cents looks like the cutoff. So they probably take the most popular X cards over 75 cents and create a list. And so I'm sure there's cards that come in and then go out, because I think if you come up here is like, yeah, Horizon Canopy's on there. There's one that I didn't see that was, a fairly popular modern card that for whatever reason was not on this list at this time. That might have been on the list later on. So that's where these big price chunks go down. So you can't compare like the so October 25th to October 24th, because this is where the list got readjusted. But you can kind of look at what's going on here from September 24th and just see this slow. It's a little bit, yeah. It definitely does start to go down here though. Slow, steady decline, and even more so here. This is even before Ultimate Masters really took hold, where these cards were going down. This isn't very good news for Modern throughout the You can see it here too when they readjust in dominant area, it just continued to go down. And I mean, this is you can fact check this for yourself. You can look at the vast majority of cards that aren't in more groundbreaking decks. So I mean, things like out of Dredge or things out of like Hollow One decks, those did tend to go up because they're fairly recent decks. But decks that have been around for a while, like Burn and Jund, and even some of the Trons, those type of traditional lists have on average gone down through the 2018 time frame. And same thing, we're looking at reserve list right now. Reserve list is starting to go down. I think that we had, like I said earlier, we had a very, very good increase of the secondary market across the board from about Rivals of Ixalan to Dominaria. And since then, it's just been too much for the secondary market to bear with the reprints after reprints after reprints. So, I mean, look at what came out in 2018. There were just so many. Even now, look at all the products that are on the shelf right now competing, from Game Nights to Spellslinger to the gift boxes to Ultimate Masters to then we just had the guild kits even. That's a big one. Those things didn't exist for sets. This is a new product that was released with sets. We still had the dual decks were continued through the specific what was the Chinese one. And Battle Bond wasn't even that long ago. There have been a lot of things that have come out, and yeah, Battle Bond was what? Back in July is when Battle Bond came out. So there's just so much product right now to choose from that's all competing with itself, and that also cross-competes with the secondary or the singles market, and it's all led to what I think should be where Wizards should start to maybe start using some caution, thinking, okay, when's enough is enough? What will be that straw that breaks the camel's back? So again, not too much, kind of a rambly video, not going to show too much with it. Appreciate the comments in the comment section if you're not so ad hominem, or if you actually want to take my arguments and debate rather than just be salty about them. Yeah, I'm definitely will engage back with you. However, again, I'm not saying Magic is going to crash. I'm not saying Ultimate Masters is a terrible set and you shouldn't buy. Hell, if you can get this set for $260, buy it away. I think that's the right price point. I think your cards are pretty safe around the $245 to $260. I think a lot of people are going to make a lot of basically anyone that can get this product will make their money back, which is awesome. That is crazy in comparison to basically anything else in the history of Magic. When you look at Commander 2018, you bought that, you lost money. Look at even like Battle Bond now. The EV's just not there. Look at all the standard sets. If you typically buy a box, you're going to be out money. Iconic Masters 25. So Ultimate Masters finally being a set that can make you money. So you just go from purchasing the product to either breaking even or making money. That is a very welcome refuge from sets of the past. However, there are consequences to that. There's a reason why the vast majority of products cannot hold their EV, because it's very, very tough to play that fine line of putting in enough cards that are worth money and having it have this sort of domino effect where it crashes the market. If you actually go back to look at Iconic Masters and the Masters 25, everyone keeps talking about how these were just terrible sets, terrible, awful sets. They weren't. It was mainly the supply that was the big problem with this set. When these sets came out, they were jam-packed full of EV. This one, like 950, that's not bad at all for Masters 25. Iconic Masters, I think, was at similar levels. Yeah, 950. If we even look at the price, I believe that's where the Modern Masters 2015 was at, was about the 950 mark as well. No, even worse. So, yeah, about then. But it was a little bit lower than the Iconic Masters and Masters 25. Mind you, when those Masters 25 and Iconic Masters came out, I was definitely the negative Nancy about them, because I just identified that there wasn't a lot of cards in Iconic Masters or Masters 25 that pushed the value long term. We had a lot of cards that just had low supply that got reprinted and went from $30 cards to like $7-8 cards, or $20 cards to $5 cards. That was kind of the norm, where these prices were more low supply than they were staples. So these weren't bad sets. in expected value out the gate. This is exactly what happens, though, when the supply is high and when you divert a lot of money from singles market to sealed products. So Iconic Masters and Masters 25 did not sell well, and look what happened. Can you imagine, though, what's going to happen to Ultimate Masters that is going to sell incredibly well? It has to go higher than this. Lower than this, because there is that much more supply entering into the secondary market. And as long as people can make money on these sets, they're going to continue to crack them and crack them and crack them. And that's why we're continuing to see prices from Masters 25 go very far down, even for staple cards. I saw the other day like an Ulamog being sold for $13. That's how low that card went. And what is it currently like? It's a $35 card before it got reprinted, and a very, very popular card in Commander. So being a third of the price, and that's probably about right, because again, you can jam pack full a set with as much value. You can throw Black Lotus in here, and it will eventually have to hit the price of the cost of the goods and the supply of the goods, and find that happy medium. So anyway, again, I'm sure people will be negative about this, and they'll misrepresent my points. And it's just getting old reading the comments of people that aren't willing to put in the time to see where I'm coming from with this, and why I think that we should definitely be caution. We should show some caution with the amount of cards that they're starting to reprint and the ways that they're actually doing that. Like Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker deck should have been like a once in a blue moon thing, not have Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker deck right into Ultimate Masters. That is a bad sign for the singles market. Now, again, we can argue is that if you want cheap cards, your wish is coming true. We're having a lot of things that are causing cheap cards to inevitably be the new norm in Magic the Gathering. I believe that let's look at actually the set, or let's go look at the prices of decks, because the price of decks modern $2,000 was the high. So we are seeing about $1,000 with Jund still, but you can see the vast majority of decks are starting to go down below that $1,000 mark. Yeah, they're still pretty high, but there are a bunch of options for here, and this one definitely should be the one that takes it definitely will take Jund under $1,500 for sure. And the rest of these, yeah, anything that uses Liliana. The fetch lands are still an issue for, and that's what I've been saying for the game. I don't understand why the fetch lands are something that they refuse to reprint when they're actually the true demand for a bunch of their formats that do need the reprint. So again, we can talk about the merits of if it's bad for the game to have $1,700 modern decks. I actually think it's pretty good for the overall, because Magic needs to make profit on their products and players need to have something to shoot for. And overall, I think it actually leads to like a healthier game rather than if everything was so cheap. But I mean, people can feel free to disagree with that, to debate that, do whatever they want with that. That's just my personal opinion. And you know, there has to be price with a collectible card game, and there has to be a price that makes sense for people to want to collect it and want to trade it and want to actually purchase the products. So, yeah, we'll continue to look forward. The thing that I see the most, though, is Standard continues to add less and less and less value to Modern as time goes on, just because of set after set there seems to be more printed, as well as these things like Challenger decks and how willing they are to reprint recently printed in supplemental products like Commander, like Master sets, like Battle Bond. It used to be like the Master sets would not even touch cards that were recently reprinted, and now it seems like that's even kind of out the door, that they will print, you know, things that were just very recently reprinted. But it's even Challenger decks that have me more on edge. Challenger decks basically evaporated a lot of the value that many cards could have offered to Commander and Modern going forward. There actually is quite a few cards in those Challenger decks that do see Eternal play, and I don't think they're ever going to have a chance of recovering. We saw Walking Ballista price correct again. I knew this Walking Ballista runaway here was unreasonable. We saw it go up here, and you can see it's come back down to earth. As this was a Challenger deck product. Like, again, I can get into all the evidence over and over and take hours talking about what I've seen. This is what I try to do daily, is just study the overall economy. And I mean, this trend is the norm here for what we're seeing. A lot of these cards that have gone up in value have price adjusted. We even have cards like Bedlam Reveler that are having a tough time, even though they're seeing a ton of play going anywhere in price. And I mean, we've seen thing in the ice that just went up, and I think that this is going to have a massive price correction as well in the short term. So yes, we continue to see these like price inflations, these price spikes, but I think that this is going to be a thing of the past more than a thing of the future with how much they're putting out. Anyway, I hope this made sense. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.